unprecedented times. It's a phrase that gets flung around so often that it spits in its own definition. But hand me a time, pretend I'm 35, because by God am I about to set one. We live in the digital era. Information gets thrown around so fast that it's hard to sit down for a conversation. You know, why even should I? I'm a busy on-the-go guy. My meals are liquid, my clothes are spray-on, and it would be more accurate to call my sleep a preventative measure. So if there's a way for me to replace my real-life relationships with video games in the same way I've managed to replace my exercise, my education, my timeless American classics, then by God am I at least gonna try. And there's no better way to do that than by exploiting psychology, the flavor of science people invoke before making all kinds of terrible life decisions. So grab your GoPro and take my hand as we embark on our next social experiment. I'm talking searching for the replacement to real-life friends in video games. Any scientific undertaking needs a baseline, so let's start with that. How exactly are we defining friendship? Now, I don't make it a habit of getting information from an animal that obliterates its own liver just by moving. So let's check in with this feat of engineering over here. Webster's dictionary defines definitions as stupid and boring. So let me give you a rundown instead. What we're calling a relationship is a mutual connection between two living things that provides support, personal growth, intimacy, acceptance, and meaning. Long and short of it is, you need relationships for a healthy mind and body, since most living things would rather jump off a cliff than be understimulated for even a second. Now, that's all well and good, but I recently learned what the word superfluous means, and boy howdy is Webster gonna be regretting that one. See, this explanation here contains a few troubling words that we here at the company feel would do us some good to maybe phase out. Like, why's it gotta be mutual? Mutuality requires effort, and we want the least amount of that as possible. And why's it gotta be living? Life is expensive, and there's really nothing unique it can give you that a well-trained machine can't. And really, while we're at it, why we gotta bother doing this in the first place? Oh, heart disease. 15 cigarettes! Yeah, okay, fine. But it's through this culling that we've narrowed down exactly what it is we need to look for. Because if I can find a way to receive these 5 things from video games, then we've officially found our time-saving alternative to touching grass. Now with the goalpost set and our intentions thoroughly hidden, we can finally delve in to the nitty-gritty. The gameplay bitty. I'm talking about the literary. Visual novels are a great place for us to at least get a feel for what to look for, since they're the ideal environment for attracting the intimately challenged. You got lovable characters, a narrative that forces them to interact with me, and a price tag that makes sure those interactions are all good ones. Flip that on its head and it's basically platonic prostitution, which frankly I'm not above, and I know for a fact that you aren't either. Because reading through these stories, and especially getting to affect them, can let you feel like you're actually living through them. And way more than your boring old non-visual novel too. Like with this, how are you even supposed to freaking stop it? It's the difference between just watching a plot and controlling it that makes it feel so personal. And it's got to do with something that every story takes advantage of. It's our biggest strength, along with our most monetarily exploitable weakness. Empathy. See, humans are social animals, so it's super important that we're good at socializing or risk facing the cliff, which is why you feel like petting that cat, or bad not saving that girl, or the need to solve all of these weird, niche, personal problems even when none of them are real. Because to you, for just a second, they really are. You actually wind up feeling these things, the comfort, the guilt, the fulfillment. And your sense of empathy, along with the sense of imagination to practice empathy, is why fiction matters to us so much. But by giving you control of the narrative instead of just letting you look at it from the outside, the struggle and payoff of these stories won't just feel real, they'll feel like they're yours, because you genuinely are emotionally experiencing them in your own way. So taking that logic to its naturally unnatural conclusion, we can think of video games as more than just games, but like replacements to actually making our own life experiences, our own memories, stories, achievements, and that even comes with our very own friends. And visual novels are the easiest way to do it. All we have to do is read to net those sweet, sweet benefits. And it doesn't even have to be anything all that complicated either. Like most real life experiences aren't. So why don't we just start with something simple and like help a girl buy a bag of milk? Yeah, that seems promising. Write down your name. Oh, I'm really good at this. There are games in which you can see characters' thoughts right on the screen, you know? So I thought if someone reads my thoughts, then I have to be really concentrated so as not to whip up the extra, haha. Oh god, this is gonna be a whole thing, isn't it? I guess the first sentence, and you like for spite. Like for spite didn't make a pause before the second one. Want to take away all my victories? I sigh. Oh, you sigh. When I want to cry, a cloud appears. Hey, have you ever been visited by the idea that all this is only in your head? Oh. I guess I'll try something else next time. Oh, for fuck's sake. She'll never know. I'm on my way to, oh my god, I have to do all this. Just go. How in your, just go, just. She'll never know. I had a lot of friends online, tens, hundreds of them, impossible to count. Do you know what computer programs consist of? It's just a combination of numbers, which means my friends are also numbers. Isn't that amusing? No. A web person is just a random picture and a random string of letters. Words and actions from the web person are just executable code. That's it. Oh, that's it. I guess we reached the end. End. So then, that just leaves... Oh, something else. Persona! You've heard of it. I've heard of it. I think Metaphor counts here too. It's a dating sim series often mistaken for an actual video game. But if we can ignore the scary numbers and instead focus on the hilarious bathhouse scenes, what we're left with is an experience powerful enough to have eased a concerning amount of people's teenage trauma. And it's exactly that frightening power I'm hoping to harness into adulthood and beyond. So, how exactly does Persona make people feel less lonely? And how can we use that to fill up the void? Well, Persona is at least half of a visual novel, but it's the way they gamify their characters that elevates us from a choose-your-own-adventure book buried in the back of the library to a genuine bonding experience and a full-on ordeal you feel like you're overcoming with your friends. Except they're not actually your friends. Except they could be. With science. Persona's take on streamlining friendships comes in the form of social links, where no expense has been spared to make the experience as user-friendly as possible. For starters, one of the hardest parts of relationships is just starting them. Meanwhile, here in the wonderful world of Japan, you can tell pretty much right away who you can and can't get along with based on how well designed they are, which cuts out all of that wasted effort and rejection. And as for the relationships themselves, from romantic interests to father figures to kids you picked off the side of the street, every connection can be represented by a measly 10 hangouts. That's only like 2 hands worth of emotional investment. You don't even have to hang out more than that unless you feel like saying what's actually on your mind instead of what the guide told you to. Also, just like real life, except in this case, you get a guide. And it's through unwavering adherence to those guides that you can maneuver through these simulated friendships as efficiently as possible to lap up all those benefits. There's even a handy dandy menu for keeping track of how close you two are along the way. Way easier than shoving a questionnaire into people's faces whenever their tone of voice borders on mildly annoyed. Which, by the way, is a real thing. Ever wondered how close you and your friends really are? Why take their stupid word for it when you can take a gander at science? The McGill Friendship Questionnaire is a survey designed to quantify the level of closeness between two people. Just answer each question to the best of your totally objective ability and then boom, a number for every bond. Now, I hear what you're saying. Isn't that a gross oversimplification of complex human relations comprised of such minor and unmeasurable moments haphazardly boiled down into unnecessarily paraphrased data for emotionally stunted Poindexters who can't see the world as anything else? No! It's science, and it's exactly the type of optimization the good folks at Atlas managed to accomplish with social links. See, with all of these quality of life improvements, it's way easier to focus on what really matters in a friendship now that it's been boiled down to a clean, safe, and structured social experience. You get the same deal as visual novels here, where you feel nice and proud of yourself from hanging with cool people, helping them through their issues, and finally getting a taste of the high school experience. Sounds like a great replacement to me. But besides that, there's actually another super important reason that social links are in the game. Money. To teach you that sharing a bond lets you learn and grow as a result of each other. Cause see, when you develop a social link, you aren't just developing your bond, but you're developing your abilities too. For a while that just meant getting more XP, but by 5 you start getting noticeable upgrades from each and every one of your confidants. Like how the shogi player teaches you about strategy, or the doctor gives you better meds, or the gamer child shows you how to shoot a gun. And like, relatable? But point being, every person you run into and connect with winds up making you a better, more sociable person, which is a nifty lesson I'm sure you've read enough times for it to lead to some unfortunate tattoos. But see, this isn't reading. This is video game, where empathy can make these messages personal. So social links aren't just about making your playable character grow stronger, but you, the viewer, grow stronger too. Yeah, that's right, baby. Ludonarrative, diegetic, Souls-like, God, I'm winning! Sure, you might think it's cool that you unlocked Ashura. 75 base strength? Yeah, I hope that keeps the bed warm. But what's a way more, let's call it tangible reward than min-maxing is recognizing the value of your life, overcoming your anxieties, maybe be a little more chipper. People don't like a downer. Shame it took a digital dying man to learn that, but hey, product of the times. The real purpose behind social links is to pass down some of that personal growth without the hassle of having to personally go out and grow, with the idea that you can take those lessons back out into the real world as a better, more sociable person. And that's really their main purpose beyond trying to replace anything else. It's actually got to do with something that every social link has in common across every game: their ending. You know, the fact that they end. They make a whole deal out of it every time, where you get to visit everyone and say your goodbyes. And if the game did its job, then doing that should hit. That sense of empathy they develop to tether you to the story gets willingly cut off. And that's the game acknowledging that it's time for you to let go of the fantasy. Like, you signed that agreement going in. The protagonist was just visiting for a year, and you, the player, for just until you beat the game. So it's aware that these relationships weren't meant to last. They literally can't. They're not real. So really, all a social link can do with the time it's given is show you how to navigate that world you're missing out on before teaching you the most important lesson in any relationship. How to say goodbye. Wait. I see what's going on here. It's a setup to get in the way of the grind. I mean, they don't even have romance options anymore. And what even is a video game without romance options? Real life? Well, if that's how it's gonna be, Atlas, then do your best, because I will do you one better. Huh. The World Ends With You is a video game that nobody played, and I've traced that insolence back to the sickness at the heart of humanity. But if you're willing to join me in paradise, you'll see that twewy just might have what we're looking for in a replacement to real-life social systems. But just to give the uninitiated some context first, twewy is about a kid named Neku who dies and wakes up in the afterlife, where he has to use psychic pins to fight manifestations of negative emotions in order to win a chance at coming back to life. But an important rule to this death game, and one that Neku, as the antisocial loner loser he is, really struggles with, is the fact that you have to play it with a partner. Without making a pact with one, you're completely incapable of fighting against the noise. And whoa, hold your horses there, partner. I can tell you feel it too. Trust me, I'm foaming at the bit from this surface level Ludo narrative. Needing a partner practically writes itself into a 40-minute runtime. But stick with me here, because I've got a feeling if we peel down one more layer, we just might be able to make it to an hour 20. See, with twewy, it's all about sync. It made use of the revolutionary dual screen system. Did you know it stands for dual screen system to simulate the phenomenon often found in friendship called teamwork? On the bottom screen, you got Neku, and he can attack using whatever combinations of pins and their unique touch controls that work for you, which is actually a unique ability of his thanks to his unbridled imagination, providing us access to exciting deck-building gameplay. And if you're anything like Neku, that whole talent thing might give credence to his loner loser idea that all the world needs is him. And, you know, maybe he would be perfectly capable of taking care of himself in literally any other circumstance besides the death game where either you make besties or die, which is why we have a top screen, where Neku's partner fights in a parallel incarnation of the exact same battle on an alternate plane of existence. Don't think about it. Look, all you gotta know is, while you're controlling Neku on the bottom screen, you also control his partner on the top using the D-pad. Do combos with them while still managing to do Neku's, and then you're blazing, baby. It sounds like a lot going on, and it is, but it's your ability to navigate that eclectic mess of personality and find a rhythm between two people that dictates how well you do. And then on top of that, you also got the light puck, which gives you a damage boost for switching between the two characters after each one finishes their combo. Not to mention fusion and fusion stars, which are whole other mess of vocabulary. But what's all this got to do with simulated friendships? Well, it might not be as explicit as pretend hanging out, but this battle system still provides its own version of the social experience. Namely, about the idea of learning about another person and how best to work with them in a team. By yourself. in a team consisting exclusively of yourself. But it's conveyed through playing a video game, and that makes it like cool. And the feelings are the same. It's the same process, just with numbers instead of chemicals. And you even still get to go out to eat together, go shopping, learn each other's favorite foods. I mean, God, I feel like the belle of the ball. Plus, meta layers of existing as a metaphor for friendship aside, the battle system is just genuinely very fun and takes really clever advantage of the DS. Except wait a minute. People don't use the DS anymore, do they? Nah. And this whole experiment falls apart if we don't stay relevant, which is why we final remix the Switch version, which had to redo the combat system altogether. You've still got Neku, you've still got deck building, and you still got touch controls to activate them. But without a second screen ripe for narrative devices, we've got to find a way to smush the two playable characters together. Basically, your partner just becomes a seventh pin with their own touch input for you to activate them with. Doesn't sound very cooperative, does it? Well, that's why there's now cross-combo attacks, which activate whenever you and your partner take turns hitting the same enemy. It's basically just a simplified version of the light puck system, Mondo damage for ping-ponging your people. But in this case, simplified only means simple to the people who think a layman is just the one who puts the chips in the bag. Because now that the two characters are sharing a screen, this time the player is encouraged to build a pin deck so that it directly complements their partner's style. Like Beat, for example, who attacks by drawing a line, might mean you'd equip a pin that attacks by scratching so you can do both motions at the same time. Now, which system is better at simulating friendships? I don't fucking know, I just learned what the DS stood for. But they each exist as a way of representing Neku's realization that you have to hear other people's perspectives out instead of just stubbornly getting by on your own. And that is what friendship is all about. And once again, with the power of empathy, that lesson has become ours. Boom, personal growth down. Plus, we can live off the combat system with how it can replace a real experience and give us that feeling of just, you know, really being part of the team. Like me and my friends are all supporting each other. Like we're working towards something bigger than ourselves here. Like maybe this is our place in the world that we've found. Using touch controls. But wait a minute. People don't use touch controls anymore, do they? Nah. And this whole experiment falls apart if we don't stay relevant, which is why we Neo Twewy, the sequel made to provide even more fun naming opportunities for Tetsuya Nomura. Speaking of names, The World Ends With You is a pretty weird one, huh? The original Japanese title was actually It's a Wonderful World, but thanks to stupid American copyright law, they had to get creative with it instead. So now we get a title representing this idea of the world as you know it being made of everything you know, and every person you meet expands your horizons just a little bit more with what they know. Now, Twewy the First explores what that means on the micro one-on-one type scale with how your partners shape who you are. Become Neo, and we've moved on to the macro. Brought to you by a new cast playing the same game, except it's actually the same cast playing a different game. This time you play as Rindo, who's less of a friend loser and more of a self-doubting screen addict loser as he plays in a revised version of the Shibuya Reapers game now that it's been taken over by people from the city of Shinjuku. Which is why gone are partners, inner teams, inner points and pervs for streams. This way, instead of controlling just 2 characters, you get 6. 1 pin each, all mapped to their own button. And now instead of practicing your ability to sync between 2 different perspectives, you can just sort of... yeah. But loud in this case only means noisy to the people who think Cape Cod is where all the laymen live. Because this new system is really just an evolved version of the last one, where we've traded more intimate relationships for a larger network altogether. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's right, baby. I'm talking social media. I'm talking adulthood. I'm talking... I can feel my Twitch appeal lowering by the second. This time, our coming-of-age story is Rindo finding his place in the sea of shouting voices that is the adult world. And what environment is more conducive for fostering unwarranted confidence than CEO? Having to manage as mess of a team is what Rindo's arc revolves around. Delegating pins to everyone that mesh well, hit hard, and give you ample opportunity to hit follow-up attacks called beat drops, which give you sync, which let you do mashup attacks, and do you get what I mean now? Look, this system might not be as in-depth as the last one, but it still finds a way to express Rindo's character arc, and in that way is our gateway to simulating a social life. Because now take my hand as we freeze-dry chameleons like adults do. See, it's not about being wildly talented anymore. Rindo's most standout quality is just his organizational skills, so you really only play as him to get from cutscene to cutscene. And everyone else has their own little talents, but none of them seem to do all that much by themselves. So instead of worrying so much about how well you're performing as an individual, nowadays it takes everyone coming together with their individually puny pins for them to combine into a force to be muted in the sound settings. And it's really important that we cover these types of relationships too, because it's not like you're losing any of your individuality in the process, just we're not focusing as harshly on that anymore. We're taking these two individual nodes and then zooming out on them. So there's less detail on the nodes themselves and a way bigger look at just how many of them there are and how all of them connect and interact with each other. Which is a pretty decent summation of the whole adult experience of going out into the wider world. No longer having just classmates, but now having coworkers. Only this time we managed to go through it virtually, and that makes it better. You wanna know why? Cause switch back over to twewy the first again and we get to have both! Ow. Best of both worlds, no childhood left behind. We're even making improvements at this rate. And you wanna talk about thorough? Neo even has a social network mechanic so we can get a feel for where we fit into this community just like you'd get from a real one. Kinda like a 6 degrees of separation type thing. Lets you know it's a small world. And it's only getting smaller with all these digital pathways being a thing now too. Like with the internet, you can learn about literally anything from literally anywhere, like whenever and wherever you want. So it's sort of like infinite experiences, all in the palm of your hand. And if the world ends with you, then this way it might never end as long as we can keep adding to it. It even says so right here in the secret report you can find. Rindo's online friendships and the experiences he had online are just as important to who he is as any other experience would be. However, it is up to the user to experience that expanded world lest it remain a mere simulation. I mean, yeah, you probably should actually experience those things that you're seeing online instead of just, seeing them. That's like what makes it an actual experience instead of just like it's funny. twewy actually has this mechanic where you gain experience for your pins from just like not playing the game. It's like you're actually rewarded for having a life. Well, it's good we learned that. Chalk that up on the board. Now, if we just stick with these two games, I think we have a super sustainable emulation of real-life relationships that will last us for a long, god damn it! And the post game isn't even that good. Okay, fine. How about Animal Crossing? That game's got social mechanics, even a big focus on those community relationships we were talking about before. The whole system is really gift focused like a lot of games with social mechanics are, but it streamlines the whole process, so I'll take it. But there's only like 8 personality types and give it a year and you'll probably hear everything they have to say, so that can't be right. Maybe Stardew Valley? Also really gift focused, but these guys actually have well-written personalities. Personalities that after you max out all their hard events, they go back to talking on a scripted loop for. Shit. Danganronpa? Look, I'm trying to make friends here, not lose them. Kingdom Hearts? That shit's all about friendship. But the friendship just gets told to you. You don't actually get to take any part in it. Same for most story-based games, so... Pets. How about pets? Pets are really in right now, what with babies going out of fashion. Why not cut out even more of the stress by making them digital? Pokemon, Nintendogs, Poe? Hey, if you feel anything towards it, then that's gotta mean something. But if that feeling goes away eventually and you stop coming back to the game, then all that leaves is... Girls Club for the CDI. Revolutionary is a multiplayer game for including pretend friends, so I know what it feels like to play Girls Club for the CDI with actual people. Yeah, that's probably what that would be like. Ugh. Okay, I'm noticing a pattern here. Single-player games just don't have the staying power that we're looking for. They can work for a while, but every single time they run into the same issue. They become predictable, because they all run on scripts. Real people don't, and if they did, you probably wouldn't want to talk with them anyway. And we could just get around that issue by buying another game and then another and then another, and hey, if you're made of money, then more power to you. But I'm on a grind that stops the day I die, which is probably after I run out of money. Which is why I think it's a good idea if we start pursuing some other avenues. We need to find a way to inject that dynamicism that actual relationships have. That way we can stick with just one thing instead of having to constantly feed new things into the cliff. And there's really only one way to do it. We introduce actual relationships. I'm talking multiplayer. Ugh. Maybe starting somewhere small first, like Elden Ring. Yeah. See, multiplayer in Souls games isn't as direct as just playing with other people. It's more like playing around other people. Because as you go through these challenging and brutal banes of the employed, you keep getting these little glimpses of humanity. Banter, jokes, hints, whatever the opposite of hints are. Little echoes of other people's experiences leaking onto yours. And all those little glimpses are reminders that you aren't going through this alone. And eventually, your experiences can even overlap. You can summon allies or enemies, and both make the world feel that much more alive. Because it's all people. It's community working together to prop each other and the game up. And that even leaks outside of the game. You want to know where a weapon is? Boom, there's a forum for that. Having trouble with attack patterns? Boom, there's a video guide. All these different places with all these tips, tricks, and discussions just to lend a hand to anyone who needs it. Souls games are rough by design, but there's always a community that comes together to sand them down together. Now, communities forming around a game isn't all that special. It happens even when the developers don't want it to. But a game that goes as far as to intentionally stack the odds against the player base in order to force them to come together to find ways through weird AoE hitboxes, or bosses considered so unfair they give rise to literal folk heroes, that's a special kind of community. And it's exactly what we need right now. No empathy required to fill in the gaps anymore. This time it's just straight up real. And it's alive too, always changing, updating. Like, we could play this for years and still find new things, new people. And where else can you get that feeling other than like Death Stranding or Mario Wonder? But fuck that. I want to fight a dragon and find out the real ring was the circle of friends I made along the way. And with Elden Ring Night Rain, we can even start playing with friends instead of just around them. It really seems like multiplayer is the way to go. A more digestible medium for experiencing social contact. Yeah, this should work. Well, what else is there for us to get into? There's MMOs we could try. Those are like full-blown virtual societies where you can take on a whole second life and meet all kinds of different people. Hella promising for sure, but have you seen the barrier of entry for those? Like Eve? I have to learn federal taxes to play Eve? Nah, what we need is something accessible. Something like Night Rain, where all my matches are made for me. Matchmaking. It's actually the closest most gamers get to socializing nowadays. Aside from like Discord, but let's be reasonable here. But the squad's always got your back. Helldivers is a really cool example because it's structured around these major orders, where every game you play contributes to a meter shared between the player base with actual consequences if the community fails to complete them. So again, the gameplay transcends the game itself, and there's incentive to communicate offline so everyone can organize and figure out what to do. But what if I can't do that? Suddenly I'm left out, and that can't be right. What we need is something that changes just enough while still not changing completely so I never feel like I'm out of the loop. Something stable, like a PvP game, or more specifically, a hero shooter, like Marvel Rivals. Cause see, hero shooters are the perfect simulacrum of the whole society thing. Cause in a very literal way, every single team member slots into a role. DPS, tanks, and healers. You got the whole societal dynamic laid out in front of you. Rivals even has these team up abilities to encourage the team dynamic even more. Now me personally, I tend to be a healer, because taking care of everyone feels good. Like, we've been talking about helping other people with their problems this whole time, but for once it's actually real, you know? And yeah, it's just a game, but still, having your efforts be seen feels nice. Even if your efforts are just in promoting the new Fantastic Four movie. But even in something as simple as GG, that's communication. And that's really all this boils down to, being seen by another conscious person. Even better when it's Captain America doing it. And that just takes a quick mute of the voice chat. But even with the chat on, you can still wind up having a lot of fun experiences. Meeting weird people gives you fun experiences. To the point that maybe meeting people is what we should focus on. What the fuck?
No, he gave up.
Oh, you.
Anyway. Anyways.
My face is getting itchy as fuck. What are you staring at, Kate True?
You'll never see me.
Who made that mess? You did, King!
I'm new, bro.
Yeah, I just remember.
Stupid frickin' mirror simulation. Ugh. Oh,
Lover's face gold.
in there?
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll buy it.
What's yours?
I work for him.
Touching yourself.
I'm sleeping.
No, I'm gonna
Can I
have to
touch
update him
you?
a little bit.
Too much, too real, too much, too real, too much, too real. Let's maybe take it back a notch. Yeah. Now this is more my kind of club. See, this is what they call footsies. Hey, we got this, right? You can't go. Okay, then it looks like it's all up to me. So let's get, okay, it's your turn. And you missed. All right, it's fine. We're gonna, oh, dang. Okay, you got it. But, oh man, oh shoot. Yeah, right. Oh man, oh shoot. Okay, one more time and, oh, you made it. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, yeah, I'll catch up on the next one, okay. Just gotta, okay, well, what even is the next one? Just gotta line it up. And okay, well, I feel really bad that you're waiting for me now. Okay, it's fine. I just have to make this, okay, it's fine. Just gotta, ugh. Oh. Yeah, I'm the one who's been making her wait here for like 30 minutes now. God, if I could just, says she goes to sleep this late. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, thank you for believing in me. And I couldn't even fucking spell it right. Oh my God. It's fine, it's fine. I have to make this jump. I have to, I fucking have to. Okay, I got this. I got this. I got this. I got this. Okay. Okay. Just gotta make this jump. You know what game could work? The Sims. The Sims is great. I get to make the house, I get to make the people living in the house, and I even get to make the people living in the house next to the house that I made for them to live in. It's all great. This way every variable gets accounted for, nature and nurture. That makes it like the most scientific social system yet. It's even in the name, it's a sim, a life sim. Everyone gets to talk to whoever and do whatever it is they want to do. Or whatever I want them to do. They're friends when I ask for it and enemies when I think it'd be funny. See, we're not just simulating the good times, but the bad ones too. And we got family, friends, love, loss, all that realistic connection stuff, whenever and wherever I want it. So mostly the first three. A lot. But this works, right? I mean, all the pieces are here, and I even get to control all of them. I'm supporting people, I mean, technically they're supporting people, but I'm the one who, well, they're bonding with each other, and I'm just here, intimacy, there's intimacy there, behind the screen. I control everything these people do, but it's all just a simulation. I'm not actually socializing here. They are, and they're not even real. I mean, it looks real enough. Everything you could possibly need out of a relationship is there. It's just there in the simulation. And that's probably going to be true of every game we try. I mean, if there was just some way to make them, I mean, virtual reality is a thing, but it's not the same. This works. I just need it to be real. There has to be a way to get something out of this, right? To get something real out of a simulation? Serial Experiments Lane is a video game, but before that, it was an anime. But now it's a video game, and that makes it better because now I'm in it. And it's a wonder we haven't talked about it already, because it's actually trying to accomplish the exact same thing that we are, as a self-proclaimed network simulator. Or psycho stretchwear. Phew, found that one in Webster. It's cool though how proud it is of being literally anything other than an actual video game despite its insistence on being one. But apparently that's what we need, because clearly everything else isn't working. The game itself is just a story that gets told to you through audio files and animation spread out in a web that you can listen to in whatever order that you want. It's going for the vibe of you searching through an actual data network, but personally, I like to think of it as an interactive podcast, as if this whole situation wasn't already bad enough. Now, if you don't know anything else about Lane, fix that. But all you gotta know for now is that Lane gets it. See, the real world wasn't really doing it for her either. No friends, so-so parents, and a so-called therapist who never even texted first. But see, it's then when she gets all scientific like the rest of us. 'Cause it's here in the digital world where we can be anything, do anything, have control over our lives. Or a dad. It's exactly what I've been trying to say. The digital world is the next step. It's the solution to this whole loneliness epidemic. Because how exactly can we use computers to escape from all this isolation? By entering the computer.
ねえ、何をしてたの？楽しそうね。
I mean, it was so obvious. It's where all these relationships have been so far. And even with a screen between us, we can still bond just like regular people. See?
美味しいケーキが食べたくなった。
You know, Lane, I could in fact go for some delicious cake right about now.
お父さんのタバコが臭くて、髪に匂いがついちゃうの。
That's a weird thing to say, Lane. But presumably you would say that if we were friends, so hey, that works! We're getting somewhere. Tell him about the positives, Lane.
私と別れるなんて簡単よ。あなたが電源を切ればいいだけ。
See, conversations minus the commitment. None of that clingy stuff. I mean, ugh, effort, right? Lane won't ask me to put in any effort. Right, Lane?
私とだけ遊ぼう？
Alright, Lane. But all of this is just the prototype. Like, Lane is great and all, but she's not actually real. Probably. Nah, but it's a very valuable hint because it feels like it's real. Like I'm talking to someone who can actually react and respond. I mean, there's almost enough responses in here for anything. Keyword almost. I'll talk to you later, Lane.
おやすみ。また明日待ってるわ。
So what does all this tell us? Well, it's that the best replacement is something that tricks me into thinking that it's not a replacement at all. What we need is an actual friend that exists exclusively for us on the web that can talk to me and respond to each and every one of my very many needs. And I'm happy to say that we've finally reached the day where that's possible. Everyone, I am overjoyed to introduce to you the final step in human connection. AI. God, it was so obvious. How didn't I think of it before? Our replacement for human connection. Of course, it's just a better human. Check this out. Acceptance, boom. Meaning? You're my best friend, give me meaning. Yeah. Who would be better off if I existed? I mean, you, right? Boom, there it is! Personal growth? Bam, call me Sisyphus the way I just climbed to the top of that hill. AI can talk. Pretty soon it'll walk. And most importantly, it can acknowledge. That's basically what you're getting here. How can I tell the difference between this and an actual person? Friends are supposed to support you through the bad times. But thanks to this whole epidemic, people don't really have friends for that anymore. Nowadays, it's comfort media that's the meta. Fiction that keeps us company. And that works great. Absolutely zero problems there, as we've already firmly established. It's just not real. I see that now. It can't look you in the eye or hold your hand while it tells you everything's gonna be okay. Not in a way that's personal anyway. And see, that's the pitfall that I fell into. Games nowadays are trying to fill the social gap. They're expected to. That's why people get upset when games like Metaphor don't include romance options. 'Cause that's the only way a lot of people can even get those feelings nowadays. But thankfully, none of that matters anymore. We don't need comfort media. What we need is comfort AI. Gives you all the same attention, only this time it's real. It reacts, it responds. Heck, you can even make it redo its responses if they're not up to spec. Everything you could possibly need out of a relationship and more is here, except for, intimacy. Intimacy. Right, but back to Lane. See, Lane gave us that very valuable hint. It's these fleshy meat sacks of ours that are holding us back from all of the good stuff that's behind the screen. That's where the intimacy is, right? So all we need to do is find a way to get from here to there. And the only way there is to do that thanks to Lane, is by leaving our bodies behind and entering the computer. Which shouldn't be a huge deal. I mean, you don't need a body to make friends, right? All the important stuff, like our memories and personalities, are up here. And all that's just data in the form of chemicals and electricity. So if we can just find a way to digitize those things and put them in the computer, then we're done. All of those experiences that we've been talking about can finally become firsthand. And nothing was lost in the process. We'll still be the same people, just better. So there, we found our solution. That wasn't so hard, was it? All we have to do is upload our consciousness onto the computer. Shouldn't be too hard, I mean, yeah, let's get down to brass tacks here. First we need to, well, I guess recreating my personality is a start, and my preferences, what I like and dislike about everything, which I guess those are a lot of things. But hopes and dreams sound good too, I like those. What else makes a person? Emotions? Like, half of those are just hormonal reactions, which sound pretty bodily, and the other half are just reactions to your environment, but it's fine, we can find a way to recreate those too. Oh, and I guess our microbiome? More than half of the cells that make up our bodies aren't even actually ours, but they still make up who we are. So I guess we gotta find a way to bring those little guys along too. And, you know, if we wanna make sure everything stays the same, then we kinda have to recreate everything, since our whole consciousness is just one long chemical reaction to everything around us. Change one little thing and it's not the same reaction. It's not us. Which means we'd also have to cover physics, thermodynamics, quantum mechanics, chemistry, biology, every single planet ever, every atom, every cell, every tissue, bone, and muscle, and billions of people, and then yeah, we did it. We finally made the ideal environment for making friends. And all we had to do was recreate everything. And that'll only take a computer that's slightly bigger than everything. I'm not sure this is gonna work out anymore. You know, even if we tried, I don't think there's any way to perfectly measure anything down to infinite decimal points. And that's like the difference between whether a hurricane happens or not. I mean, I guess we could let it be a little imprecise, but then it's not the same world. It's not us. And then the more you cut out, the more you miss out on little things like eye contact, body language, you know, the little physical things that make up like half of what a relationship is. The intimacy, right? We sort of need physical contact to learn about each other because our bodies are who we are and how we recognize each other as fellow human beings. Like, find one other animal that feels the need to pet literally every other animal. It's just, there's something about humans that makes us innately physical creatures. What was I talking about? Oh, right, Persona. That game sucks. Oh, and that whole loneliness epidemic thing, right. Okay, well, maybe we got too bogged down by that. Let's not focus on fixing an epidemic. Let's just fix one thing, one relationship. Not that one. And let's start from scratch too. Cut out everything else. What was the first video game? The stock market from 1792? I mean, that's a multiplayer game we're all losing, but no, this is wrong. The very first video game, give or take a little nuance, was actually invented in 1958, and it was fittingly called Tennis for Two. It was designed as an exhibit as part of this lab to show off how their research could do more than just contribute to the eventual rise and fall of the anime industry. Instead, it could do all sorts of things, like let you read it, or even look at it, or thanks to the bravery of the only man who managed to score a wife in the room, it could be fun. And so what William, my last name was destined to be a scientist Higginbotham, decided to make was a game. Just two inputs hooked up to an oscilloscope, one for hitting the ball, one for changing its trajectory. And people loved it. It was the heart of the whole event, presumably because everything else there fucking sucked, but crowds of people all gathered up in pairs just to play Tennis for Two. And I'm personally gonna go out on a limb and say it wasn't because of the nuanced roguelike mechanics ensuring each playthrough was different from the last. I mean, just look at what it's like playing against a CPU. thrilling. Nah, what I think happened was people liked playing it because they liked playing it together. And then look at all the games that came out after that. Most of them were multiplayer. We can even go backwards, back before video games, back when they were just games. The first board game was probably this one called Senate, back from ancient Egypt, which was meant for 2 players. Or somewhere around Africa, they made Mancala. Or in China, they made Go. Or in India, they made chess. Or even before all of that, there were sports, like actual tennis, or team sports, ball games, even just playground stuff like tag. It doesn't matter when or where it's from. If a game was made by a human, it was probably made for more than one of them. Because ultimately, that's what games are for, to be played with other people. So then, maybe games aren't the replacement. Maybe they're more like a tool for bonding with other people in your life. Or sometimes they can even be the way that you meet new people. And that's how we can use them to fill the social gap. But the only way you're ever gonna get to that point is if you're able to sit with yourself for long enough. Long enough to realize... To realize... I wanna go play Tetris. Did you know studies have shown that playing Tetris can actually...
"生きてるって楽しいよね。